So we are talking about the movie Assassinate, which was originally titled The Chemist. This one is directed and co-written by Art Camacho, and stars Olivier Gruner, who, in case you don't know who he is, he was basically quite a prolific action star in the kind of the late 80s and the early 90s. A whole bunch of kind of straight-to-video movies, probably best known maybe for Nemesis, I would say, the first Nemesis film. I really liked the movie Automatic, but he's a legitimate badass. I believe he was originally in the French Foreign Legion in real life, and here he plays an aging assassin in his mid-50s, and his MO basically is to use chemicals and poison, hence the original title, The Chemist, and that's basically how he dispatches his victims. And initially he's kind of training this other guy who is this kind of young upstart and a bit of a wild card, and eventually we kind of Gruner's character basically meets this kind of young girl and kind of falls in love, and there's a betrayal and all this kind of stuff and lots of action sequences. This is all I'll say on the plot. So what do I think of Assassinate? I will be honest with you, I really wanted to like this film. I really liked Olivier Gruner back in the day. He was kind of one of the more unsung action heroes that never seemed to get quite as much attention as some of the other ones. But I have to say, this was a pretty poor movie overall. Let's go through it piece by piece. First of all, the directing here. I thought the directing was poor. There is some really odd choices in regards to camera positions and stuff like that. A massive overuse of slow-mo and kind of like fun camera tricks, shall we say. The editing as well is pretty poor. There's some scenes that are very poorly edited that just don't flow at all. Move on to the acting. I have to say the acting is pretty poor, even from Gruner, who was never the best actor, if I'm honest. But the cake goes to this actress who plays Gabriella, who is the not age-appropriate girlfriend of Olivier Gruner, who is in his 50s, and this girl is in her 20s, I would imagine, and she's played by Stephanie Gerrard. And my God, I have seen some bad acting in some B movies, but this girl takes the cake. I've never seen so much overacting. Just look at the facial movements. It's hilarious. It is genuinely hilarious to watch this girl act because she so overacts. It's amazing. But the acting is pretty poor across the board, with the exception of Patrick Kilpatrick, who plays a kind of the bad guy, and he's pretty menacing, I've got to say. I kind of liked his character. So he was pretty good, but the majority of the other cast are pretty either bad or forgettable. Now, if you read the kind of the description here, you'll see that it stars Richard Grieco, Sasha Mitchell, and Martin Cove. Now, Grieco and Mitchell are literally in it for maybe a couple of seconds. I'm not kidding you, right at the end, literally a couple of seconds, and even then it's just a seemingly completely unrelated scene of these guys playing poker, where they've kind of shoved it in, obviously friends of the people who made this film, I'm assuming. Martin Cove has a little bit of a bigger part, but generally speaking, this is the Olivier Gruner show. Other things I didn't like, I didn't think the choreography was very good, I'll be honest with you. So the fight scenes here I feel were kind of fairly poorly staged. There's a scene towards the beginning of this film where they basically fight these two older Asian gentlemen who are kind of martial art experts, and they're in the credits they're cast as Grandmaster so-and-so, and I thought, oh, they're going to be, you know, pretty good, but unfortunately the actual action sequences were really flat, and I'm sure they're, you know, excellent fighters in real life, but the actual choreography was very poor. There's a couple of okay action sequences, but just the sort of the character things that happen here as well. This Gabriella character all of a sudden becomes a total badass and is able to take down a group of trained killers and stuff like that with no explanation of how she's managed to do that. There's this other kind of blonde girl that kind of is gets basically like a groupie attachment to this kind of the bad guy hitman, and again she has no combat experience as far as you know of, yet she's a bit of a badass. It's ridiculous. I can't really recommend anything about this movie other than Patrick Kilpatrick, who was kind of a fun character, and there's some okay kind of story beats here. I feel maybe this was in its inception there's maybe a good B movie trying to kind of get out here, maybe with the kind of the plot and stuff, but it's so poorly executed, this film. I really can't recommend it, unfortunately, because it's just, there's so many things wrong with it, although there is maybe a germ of a good idea. So I'm going to have to give this movie a 2.5 out of 10. It's pretty bad, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll see some better things from Gruner in the future. Anyway, that's my review. What did you think? If you've seen it, leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.